Hello, and welcome back to our second ever episode of New Ability Unlocked. My name is Tom Storm, and today we're going to be diving into the future of racing. Nearly 3 years after the release of the console, the Nintendo Switch eShop is full of games, both good and bad. The deals section of the eShop is especially overcrowded, with a few hundred games often being on sale at any given time. So I've been wanting to start a series highlighting games on sale in order to help my viewers sift through the trash and find the games that are worth playing for these cheap prices. The first of these sale spotlights is going to be covering Riptide GP Renegade for the Nintendo Switch. Normally a $10 game, it's currently on sale for just $3. Riptide GP Renegade is the third game in the series, but the first to be released on the Switch. The first Riptide GP was a phone-only game released back in 2011 and was one of the first of the early era of smartphone games to really feel console quality. Riptide GP2 came out a few years later on phones, Xbox One, PS4, and PC. The first two games had more of a clean future Grand Prix vibe, almost similar to something like the Wipeout series. This third game branches out in a new direction, leaving behind the Grand Prix tracks for a more dirty and gritty, almost street racing type vibe. You'll be racing through flooded cities, factories, harbors, and futuristic parks, complete with cops who will be trying to get in your way during the race. I often see this game get compared to Wave Race, which really isn't true. It kind of does Riptide a disservice when people go into it expecting it to feel like Wave Race. I get that they both take place on water and have wave-based physics, but Riptide feels much more like a cross between Hydro Thunder and SSX. The watercrafts have a much more powerful, heavy and weighty feel to them compared to the lighter-feeling jet skis in Wave Race games. This makes a lot of sense though, considering the Riptide GP series was developed by Vector Unit, who are responsible for the excellent reboot of Hydro Thunder Hurricane on Xbox 360 Live Arcade. The reason I compare Riptide to SSX, as you probably noticed in the video already, is due to the trick system. Tricks can be used to build your boost meter, which quickly becomes necessary for winning races. As you play through the game, more advanced tricks can be unlocked using skill points, which are received through leveling up your rider. More advanced tricks will require bigger jumps and take more time to complete, but will give you substantially more boost than the simple tricks will. By the later races in the career mode, you'll need to learn track layouts and which jumps will give you the airtime needed to commit to these bigger tricks. Along with the skill points used to buy tricks and buffs, completing races also earns you money, which can be used to purchase and upgrade new watercrafts. There's some light customization available for these crafts, allowing you to change color schemes to your liking as well as choosing decals and numbers for each craft. You'll also be able to unlock new riders once you beat boss races in the career mode. While past Riptide GP games have always had the career mode, Riptide GP Renegade attempts to add an actual story to the game, which quite frankly is kind of terrible and completely forgettable. Luckily, cutscenes can be skipped, and the story being there doesn't take away from the excellent gameplay. The career mode is mostly made up of point-to-point and circuit racing events, but the gameplay is mixed up from time to time with stunt contests, elimination races, and buoy-based time trial events. The water physics may not be as good as something like Wave Race Blue Storm, but they're probably some of the best water physics on Switch right now, not that there's really much competition. There's also a severe lack of SSX-style do-tricks-to-build-a-boost meter type racing games. I've always loved those kinds of arcadey, over-the-top racing games like SSX, and Riptide scratches that itch in a way that nothing else currently available on Switch really does. The game does feature a 4-player local split-screen versus mode, which is great, but it's worth mentioning that the Xbox One version has the bonus of supporting up to 6 players in local split-screen, which can make that version a great party game. There's also an online multiplayer mode, but the servers are unfortunately empty. Graphically, the Switch version is mostly on par with the Xbox One and PS4 versions. There's some lighting effects here and there that aren't as fancy, but it's very close and runs smooth 99% of the time. I have noticed some brief areas in a track or two where the Switch version drops a few frames, but it's not enough to take away from the gameplay and is hardly noticeable. There's a lot of bad stigma around phone games being ported to consoles, but I personally think the Riptide GP series has made that transition very gracefully. It probably helps that the developers come from a console background prior to their mobile games. Riptide GP Renegade is normally a $10 game on Switch, but if you're interested and live in the US, make sure to check out the game right away, as it's currently heavily discounted at only $3 from now until January 17th. Thanks for joining me today to talk about this fun budget racing franchise. I hope those of you who decide to take the plunge have a good time with the game. I plan to have more of these sales spotlights in the future, so please let me know what you think of this one. My name is Tom Storm, and this has been New Ability Unlocked.